RPG and D&D Species. Some of them can be very controversial, especially if you're not into the whole furry thing. But some of them can be outright kind of plain and boring. Like a good vanilla cone. It's dependable, but sometimes just a little meh. And since I'm a newer D&D player, a new RPG player, and I recently did a tier list based on vibes, based on perceived fun as a newbie. So following on the footsteps of that classes video, I'm following up with a species video. Yes, we're going to look at a bunch of species that are out there. But of course, because I'm a newbie, I am going to base this off of the different personality types that are out there. So we kind of rank them based on a little bit of vibes, but more on personalities, the personalities of the players that I have observed so far. And truth be told, this video comes from a comment from one of the viewers. One of the viewers from my classes video made a comment about how they would love to be able to see me kind of tier ranking species. And I agreed, it was a lot of fun, but it completely slipped my mind until my husband reminded me he actually wanted to see it. So he ended up creating a list for me of different characters. I did add a couple extra in there, but for the most part, he created a list for me to go through. And I'm kind of doing this blind because I don't know a whole lot of these species, so I'm going to kind of read a brief description of it. I did ahead of time, just based on kind of the descriptions that he gave me, created my tier list markers here. I took a guess to kind of figure out what these would look like, and I'm kind of curious. Was I right? Was I correct? And I used Canva again because I don't want to get a copyright strike. And yes, the video from last week, I had a tiny snippet originally in there of Neil Newbon talking in his character so that you could kind of get a look and feel of what my husband would sound like when he was doing the wizard. I got a copyright strike in less than 10 seconds of that being uploaded to YouTube. So you never got to see that video. I ended up just putting up a screenshot, redoing the video very quickly. But yeah, I see how absolutely litigious, how much D&D Wizards of the West Coast wants to kind of sue, how Hasbro, and it was specifically Hasbro, came after me on that one. So based on that, I don't want to get into any kind of copyright issues. And yes, even with fair use laws out there, I just don't want to have to deal. So I'm going to be using icons that kind of represent. Some of them were harder to get than others. Anyway, please forgive me if they don't own up to what you perceive that they should be, but let's jump into the video now. And hey, I'm Helena, I'm 51, and I'm just starting to explore the whole geek world. I'm exploring D&D, all things RPG, video games, Magic the Gathering, everything geek community. I am finally at 51, starting to embrace who I really am, and I apologize for my hair. I got caught in the rain today. We have a torrential downpour in Toronto. So let's get into the tier list right now. Starting with the different personality types and how I organize this on my tier list. So up on the screen right now, you will see the tier list that I came up with. And these are the different personality types that I truly believe that are on the regular D&D tables. You probably recognize some you may not. I'm going to give a kind of a brief intro to them anyway. And for this tier list, I am going to say that this is also based on me and my experience to date. So you will see that there are things that are kind of more associated to me at the very top and less like me at the very, very bottom. So that's kind of how I ranked it. The personality types and who would I fall under in those tiers. So it's not exactly your top to bottom list, but maybe more of a kind of a true vibe experience in that sense. So of course, at the very, very top, that would be 100% my type of personality. That is your method actor and the newbie. Because yes, that is me. 8, maybe 9 months in now of playing D&D on a regular basis. So I am still very wet behind the ears and enjoying the entire experience of learning everything RPG. And I don't know if this is a good or bad thing, but the next one down is 100% also me. But I put it a little lower on the list because of the fact that I know it's not for everyone either. And that is the Chaos Gremlin. It's the button pusher, especially if that button is glaring bright red and doing one of these. And it's also the combat monster. You would think a person who plays a druid who is supposed to be a healer would not be so interested in combat, etc. No, I'm usually the one that starts the fight. I'm the one who pressed the buttons, walked right into it, and off it goes. So the next tier is both what I aspire to be, kind of, and then also a little bit of me in there as well at times. And who I aspire to be is the veteran. I would love to be an RPG, a D&D veteran one day. I am so jealous of all of the people who have been playing 30, 40 years at this point, who got in on the first, kind of experience of D&D ever, who played through all of those awkward times of being a young person growing up and saying, fuck it, I'm going to embrace who I am because shit is just a lot of fun. And the next one pays homage to my husband, and that is the tragic backstory writer. I will say the first time that I sat at the table about 8 months ago with my husband, when we first did our kind of session 0, my husband had this huge backstory for his paladin. A huge backstory and a future story as well. So I thought that was hilarious. And last in this group is the murder hobo. Is the butcher being mean to you? Let's just kill him. Is the priest over there looking at you a little kind of judgmental? Oh, time to get stabby. And did the city mayor promise you 10 gold pieces and only gave you 8? Well, of course. It's time to take them out. So yes, I can be a little bit murder hobo-ish, especially for a druid, but I'm not completely bloodthirsty, I will say. The next one down, you would think that the Lore Goblin for me would be at the very bottom. I will say having a Lore Goblin at my table is probably the reason it isn't at the very bottom, because the player that we play with who is a Lore Goblin is probably the sweetest person I have ever met in my entire life. And he is just the biggest gigantic teddy bear I have ever known. And I cannot be annoyed at him because he is just so sweet and genuinely plays his cleric exactly as you would think a cleric would be played, being completely righteous and making the right decisions. And that is just who he is. He just has this plethora of knowledge that amazes me. And that's what comes with playing the game for 30, 40 years at this point. And the next one is the Hoarder. And that is normally my husband. When we play BG3, he loots and keeps everything. But it's funny, in our real life game, I'm the one who is the Hoarder more than anyone else at the group. I'm the one who goes in and kind of loots everything right away. But yeah, I am a hoarder, but at the same time, I'm kind of divvying it out wherever it goes. Oh, you need a sword covered in silver because we might come across lichens? Sure, go for it. Here you go. Oh, you would like to upgrade your armor so that you have a little bit more protection? Sure, here you go. Oh, you would like to make a donation to the local church and thank them for the warm meal that we just got from them? Here you go. Here's a little extra to say thanks. So yeah, I'm a hoarder, but I'm also a giver, so that's why it's not at the very top of the list. And if you haven't guessed by now, I am a little bit of a social butterfly. Going out on Wednesday nights to play D&D is one of the highlights of my week because, you see, I have been working from home since 2009. I also do this channel and writing a book, so I literally have no life. I am in my house all the time. My kids' days of sports are long gone, so there's really no reason for me to be out there. So I end up having the only time that I go out is for grocery shopping and for D&D. So being a person who is a social butterfly, who is very extroverted, Wednesday becomes where I kind of unfortunately dump all that energy on the table. And I will say, I don't think it has annoyed anyone because I think a lot of the people at the table tend to be on the more quiet side. But I also have seen where everyone has opened up and who has become, friends. And we joke and we laugh and we do all kinds of things now. So I will give myself a little bit of credit here in saying that because I am a social butterfly, it kind of opened the doors to allow us all to enjoy each other a little bit more. Now, these bottom two tiers, I will say, are 100% not me. I do not relate to these at all, and I had a hard time figuring out which one was at the bottom and very bottom kind of thing. But these are your main character energy people. They're the ones who want to kind of get all of the glory just for themselves at the table. This is your min-maxer, the person who figures out the character, how to play them best, does all the statistical, mathematical equations that are out there and figured it all out to optimize the player who can annihilate all of the groups by themselves. No interest in that whatsoever. And your solo artist. This is the person who goes out and starts their own little kind of campaign on their own, on the side, separate from everyone else. And they're just doing their thing, enjoying the experience for themselves and the way that they want to play the game, despite how crazy it drives the DM. I don't think we have a single one of those kind of players at our table. For the most part, we've always kind of agreed as a group that we would explore an area together, kind of a democracy kind of approach to it. Now, there are times where I want to use a spell like Spike Growth, and everyone says, no, you shouldn't do that. Don't use a spell slot. And sure enough, we should have used Spike Growth. So there's sometimes I'll just do it myself and stand up and say, I'm going to do this. And guess what? I did it last week and it was amazing and it was so needed. And yeah, then the group thanked me. So anyway, that's the only time I would say that I'm a solo artist, in that sense that I kind of want to try more magic stuff instead of hand-to-hand combat type things. Then there is the rules lawyer. And I will say, I love the people who comment here. I love how lovely everyone has been in my YouTube videos. I love all the feedback that I get from everyone. And for the most part, 99% of the time, I love it. There is the 1% who I will say is the rules lawyer. I can clearly see it. And there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with being that type of person. I am just not that person myself. I want a little bit of gray area. I want a little bit of flexibility. I laugh when somebody put in the comments that they are a DM and they let one of their players ride down a banister. I thought that was hilarious. But I'm sure a rules lawyer would say, well, that doesn't allow you to keep within your 30-foot speed. Oh, well, it was probably a lot of fun. So yeah, I will say a rules lawyer is probably never going to be me. It probably is not somebody I'm going to ever really enjoy playing with. But again, I understand it. I do know that there are groups of people who absolutely love that. They love the pure side of what D&D is supposed to be. And I'm not even going to say RPG, because I think most of them would not even stray from that kind of thing. But that being said, nothing wrong with it. It's just not my vibe. That's all. And the next two, I will probably say, are polar opposites of me. One, I cannot stand as a personality, period, whether that's at the table or just out in real life. And that is the phone addict. You know, the person when they're talking to you are looking through their phone. They're scrolling while they're talking to you. have nothing to contribute, but are 100% in it for themselves, no matter what that is. And the last one is the wallflower. I am not a wallflower. I wish I was a little bit more wallflower. My husband is a wallflower. He is the type who will sit back and observe everything that's going on in a room, in a party, in a restaurant, everything. He is your typical military frontline kind of guy. He is also very picky on when he wants to speak. I know that we speak, him and I, quite often, and sometimes he's actually way more of a chatterbox than I am, especially with certain conversations like, the list that he gave me. That is 100% him. He is the guy who will go into fine details of everything, but only when he chooses to be. So yes, the wallflower, it's not a bad thing. It's just not me. And I do think that there are a lot of wallflowers perhaps in the D&D world, but I also do think that D&D and RPGs bring some of those wallflowers out as well. So now that we've gone through the criteria, I am going to rank them on my list of whether or not I think I would play these. And if I would, they will be at the top of the list. And I'll sort them into kind of my level of interest of who it is. Was it something that I would play as a newbie? Or is this something that I look at and go, yeah, no, that is not me. And this is who I picture playing that character kind of thing. So bear with me. I will be using my phone as a reference here so that when I go to pick the tier, I know which one I'm going to choose. Be right back, just grabbing my phone.
A few moments later.
And I'm going to also say I'm probably going to butcher all of these names. Billy Butcher style. Yes, I just finished The Boys. I'm sad it's gone, and yes, I did cry. Okay, no judgment. No judgment. But yes, I did cry. And now I also realize I don't have my reading glasses on me either. So the first one on the list is the Aarakocra? Aarakocra? I think that's how you pronounce it. Aarakocra? Anyway. Avian humanoids originating from high mountain peaks and the elemental plane of air. They're spiritual and defined by functional wings. All right. So I'm thinking Dungeon Crawler Carl as well sometimes for this. So this is, I would say, a skyfowl. So that is why I chose kind of the hawk head as being the icon. Now, where would I put this? It sounds like they're very serious, and I'm not sure how serious of a person I am. So let's take a look here. I will say, I'm going to say a person who plays this character is probably a hoarder. This is a person I'm also going to call a hoarder, not only just like loot from a game, but also a hoarder of just kind of unique specimens as well, I think, as well. So I'm going to say the Aarakocra. Anyway, it's going to go in the Lore Goblin, the Hoarder, and the Social Butterfly category, but specifically under the Hoarder because they're hoarding kind of special species for themselves. That would be used in a unique situation, but I also think that this would probably die pretty easily as well. So yeah, it's going there. Pretty bottom of the list, but not the worst yet. And the next one is, why do they have such stupid names? Aasimar. Aasimar? This is why I'm using real easy names in my book, because I don't want people going through something and calling it an ass for the rest of its life, because that's what I'm going to start calling this one, the Aasimar. Anyway, individuals carrying celestial blood in their ancestry, granting them ethereal presence, luminous eyes, and power to channel radiant energy. Yeah, so when I thought of this one, I thought of a kind of a glowing goddess type of thing. So that's what I chose as the icon. And where would I put this? I think this person would be one of those kind of main character energy type of people. I think, or a min-maxer. somebody who wants to be a solo artist. You know, they have, we're going main character, min-max, solo artist. Anyway, next one. And this is one that my husband didn't have on the list, and that is a bugbear. And the reason I chose bugbear because it's in the Dungeon Crawler Carl books so often. So that's why it's there. And I just started book 8 and there are bugbears in it. So, sorry, spoiler alert. Massive, muscular, and exceptionally long-lived goblinoids who thrive on the fringes of society. Anyway, so a bugbear. I think a person who would choose a bugbear probably will be kind of a murder hobo, but they also might be that kind of species hoarder. So I'm going to go with Lore Goblin, Hoarder, Social Butterfly kind of category again, because of the fact that I think, it might be one of those weird nuanced things why somebody would choose to play this. And the next one is a Centaur. So a Centaur, we kind of know these ones, proud and physical, imposing, half humanoid, half horse beings. And they're native to the wild plains and plains of Arborea. So they're rooted in community hunting and devoted to untamed lands. Blah, 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 blah. Sounds boring as fuck, I'll be honest. Only Centaur that I really remember is from kind of, other than like things like Hercules when I was a kid, but that would be from Harry Potter. So Harry Potter has the Centaur, and he is noble and all of that, but I don't know. I'm going on Rules Lawyer. I think the Rules Lawyer would play a Centaur because, they're noble and devoted and focused and all of that. So, I'm going Rules Lawyer. Sounds boring as anything. Okay, next one also wasn't on my husband's list, but homage to Katya and Dungeon Crawler Carls as well as Mordecai. And that is both the Changeling and the Doppelganger. I'm putting them kind of together because they are very, very similar. They can morph their bodies into something else. They are both able to alter their appearance to suit the situation, whether that is more monster-based like the Doppelganger or more like Changeling-based where it's interspecies mixed kind of thing. So a Changeling and Doppelganger sounds very interesting to me. I love the idea of being able to switch around, trying different things, and being kind of spontaneous. So I kind of like the idea of this, of being able to switch, if I was able to, every single kind of game into something else. I kind of like that. So I think it'll go into the button pusher category for me because of the fact that I think it would drive some people crazy probably switching around, but it does sound interesting to me. So based on vibes, it's going in the button pusher, Chaos Gremlin, and combat monster kind of category for me. I might even think about maybe moving it up to the method actor because actually, you know what? I am going to go up to the method actor because of the fact I would absolutely play this, and you are an actor when you are a changeling or a doppelganger. So we're going into the top tier on this one. All right, the next one on the list is the deep known or the Sphernophrenomalabelinin. I'm not even going to bother. I'm not even going to try to bother to say that one. Anyway, subterranean offshoot of the gnome, distinguished by gray skin. So I do know this one from BG3, and I will say it looks really boring to play, I'll be honest. So I am going to go, if you were playing this, I would think there is a specific reason you're going with this. So I'm going to say main character, min-max, solo artist type of thing. I'm going to go into that list because there has to be a reason why you are choosing to play this character, because who wants to be in the dark all the time and digging in stuff? No thanks. It's just boring. Anyway, main character, min-max, solo artist it is. So for the next one, it is Dragonborn. And I do also know this one from BG3 because I'm playing a sorceress at times that has Dragonborn kind of dragon lineage. And the definition is scaled humanoids boasting direct draconic heritage, divided into clans, specifically dragon colors, and can unleash elemental breath weapons. And a huge focus on clan and honor, etc. I will say the Dragonborn has been a character that I never wanted to play as well. And I did build a character called Draki Chan, who was a monk. My husband was playing a deep gnome who was Van Heelen. Yeah, he was a bard who was a healer. And it was really boring to play. And I'm going to go the rules lawyer. This is one of those, again, honor-bound, loyalty, blah, 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 blah. So rules lawyer, bottom of the list for me. Now, Drow or Dark Elf. An elven subrace adapted to deep caverns of the Underdark and recognizable by their dark skin and stark white hair. And they have natural dark vision and magical abilities, blah, 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 blah. My husband also plays a Drow. And I also know that they get a lot of flack for being a Drow, for being a dark wielder, etc. So I'm going to say if you choose a Drow to play, you're probably a veteran, you're probably a tragic backstory writer, or you're just an outright murder hobo because, yeah, I'm going to say my husband chooses to play that character because of the whole murder hobo thing, because he also chose Dark Urges as well for his Drow. So, yeah, I'm going to say the murder hobo kind of suits the Drow perfectly. And then we can go into the dwarf, whether that is a mountain dwarf or a hill dwarf. I understand that there's 2 different types. So they're stocky, long-lived people bound by tradition, craftsmanship, and shared memory of the lost homeland. Mountain dwarves are hardened warriors from high-altitude strongholds, whereas hill dwarves are renowned for their hardiness and communal focus. Dwarf. So I have a dwarf in Solasta too, and then I know that, from Lord of the Rings, one of the best characters is also a dwarf in there. So essential for a lot of parties and just usually that really good person. So to me, the dwarf would be in that Lore Goblin kind of zone. So I'm going to go with Lore Goblin for this one. Kind of the Hoarder as well, because yeah. I think if you're playing that, you play it for a specific reason. So yeah, Lore Goblin it is. The next one is an elf, whether that's a wood elf or a high elf. I'm also going to put half elves in here as well. I don't care. I'm sorry. 5e, you shouldn't have gone away with the half elf thing. It's the perfect kind of choice for a newbie. They don't want to stray too far from a human, but an elf sounds something familiar, especially from Lord of the Rings. So yeah, elves also make natural druids because of the fact that they're just kind of aligned to nature, and they're also kind of magical beings. So I'm going to say that a elf and high elf, even though I chose it as my own first species, I will say that's a newbie choice, but it's not a method actor kind of thing. Would I choose it again? Now that I know that there are different species, probably not, but it is still really a great character, especially for dungeon delving, because of the whole dark vision thing of being able to see a little bit better and only needing to kind of go into a trance rather than a full, long rest. So, based on that, I'm going to say it would be something that a veteran probably would choose. That it would be that dependable kind of thing that has been around for a long time. So I'm going to go with veteran. Veteran is my choice on that. All right, and the next one is Genasi, a Jinn. I think it's a Jinn, something like that. Genasi. Anyway, from the mortal lineage of genies. And they manifest their heritage through physical traits and magical control over 4 primary elementals: air, earth, fire, or water. So, Genasi or a Jinn in that case, I think you're using this character probably for min-maxing. That's what I'm going to assume. So I'm going to put this character in main character, min-maxer, the solo artist category. That is where it's going to go. Now, the next one is a Githyanki or its other peer, the Githzerai. Githzerai. Stop coming up with these stupid fucking names. Anyway, the Gith, I'm going to just label them as. They are opposing cultures, throwing off the tyranny of the mind flayers. Githyanki are martial conquerors who traverse the astral plane riding red dragons, and Githzerai are kind of monks who hone psychic stillness within the chaos of limbo. It sounds so boring. Oh my gosh. I also don't like playing Lae'zel. I know I love the character actor who plays Lae'zel, but I don't like Lae'zel as a character in BG3. That whole righteousness type of thing is so boring to me. So yeah, this is going straight to the bottom. Rules lawyer, phone addict, wallflower kind of thing. Yeah, rules lawyers play this. So right to the bottom, off I go. Now, this is one that I had a very hard time with figuring out an icon for these. Any of the gnomes are very, very difficult to kind of find out there, to be able to kind of produce one. And whether it is a forest or a rock gnome, it says here that they're energetic, long-lived, and highly enthusiastic small humanoids. Forest gnomes are illusion-wielding tricksters, an affinity for small animals, and rock gnomes are meticulous tinkers who craft intricate, occasionally volatile mechanical devices. Gnomes, where I come from in Scandinavia, are very different from kind of the gnomes that you would get out here. And all of the gnomes with the hat and the big nose, I will say that's kind of the gnomes that we have in our folklore up there. Whereas the gnomes in North America, maybe around the world, are definitely kind of more monster looking. And Canva had 1,000,001 of these types of gnomes. I am going to annoy everyone and use the gnome that everyone sees out there because, yeah, I'm going to just trigger some people in the comments by using it anyway. Now, where would I put a gnome? I think if you are playing a gnome, you're again using it for a specific reason. Kind of like in the Dungeons & Dragons, the Artificer. So, it's not quite solo artist, min-maxer type of thing. Might be the Hoarder, Lore Goblin. Yeah, I'm going to go with Lore Goblin Hoarder for this one. Because of the fact that, yeah, if you are choosing to play a gnome, there is a specific reason you are doing that. So, yeah, Lore Goblin it is. The next one sounded gross to me, and it's the Grung. I don't know how to pronounce it. Small, highly toxic, and intensely serious tree frog humanoids. They organize themselves into rigid social caste system based entirely on their skin coloring, ranging from green to the lowest rung to gold at the very top. It sounds terrible as a society. It sounds like apartheid, basically, in South Africa. So, yeah, I chose actually a really horrible looking kind of frog. They just sounded so gross to me. And I also know that this was one of the characters that Mordecai took on in Dungeon Crawler Carl. And every time he croaked, thank goodness he was put under quarantine for a little while, because if I had to listen to that kind of sound like he was throwing up every single time he was doing it, I hated that character. Anyway, I am going to go rules lawyer with this one because, yeah, it sounds terrible. And if you're into apartheid and caste systems and all of that, yeah, you deserve to be at the very bottom. If you think you are higher and mightier than anyone else, you deserve to go to the bottom. Just saying. So the halfling to me sounds exactly like a hobbit in the sense that they're cheerful and barefoot wanderers known for an extraordinary knack of surviving deadly perils. Their societal values center on comfort, community, good food, and quiet resilience. So yeah, this is a hobbit to me. I think hobbits are the cutest, and I have a lot of respect for the hobbits. I also have a lot of respect for Tolkien. So I am going to also say if you choose a halfling to play, you might be a veteran because there's kind of insights as to what you are doing. Now, that being said, you might also be a button pusher by kind of choosing that character specifically. So, do I go chaos? Do I go button pusher? Or do I go veteran? So I'm going to go veteran because of the fact that it is, I think you're choosing this because you have just played long enough. Now, human to me sounds like you are the vanilla of the group. You are the person who goes to McDonald's to buy ice cream because Baskin Robbins is just too much choice. Maybe you're going to McDonald's because it's cheaper too. But anyway, the shortest lived of all the common species, possessing no innate magical lineage or exotic physical heritage. Despite these limitations, they are highly ambitious and have spread further across the continents than any other group. I'm going to say most people who would choose these would be the newbie. It would be the person who doesn't know what to play and just chooses that. That being said, I also do think that a person chooses this because perhaps they want to min-max or something. I don't know. I think somebody who chooses this really doesn't give a whole lot of thought to stuff. So I almost want to say that it might be the wallflower phone addict kind of person, but it could also be a person who wants to play a paladin, main character energy, but it also could be the social butterfly who'd rather just talk rather than having to sit around and figure out who to play. So I'm going to go at the bottom here. The person at the very bottom, the phone addict, who doesn't really care about anything. Or do I go main character? No, phone addict. It is the person who really doesn't care about being here a whole lot that I think is choosing it. No, we're going to go main character. Main character. I think you're choosing this on purpose because you're going to build something out of it. Anyway. Okay, main character energy, this is the person who chooses that. Now, next one is the Kenku. And the Kenku is corvid humanoids, permanently stripped of their wings and original voices by ancient forgotten curses. They communicate exclusively by mimicking sounds, speech patterns they have previously encountered. So they can't damn well talk. Well, that's just stupid. I would say the Hoarder normally would take this one, but I think we're going to main character min-max area as well for this one. Okay? Yeah. Anyway, maybe they have a purpose. Anyway, next one. And I know these because I have fought a lot of these in the dungeon recently, and that is kobolds. Oh, small reptilian humanoids who claim a distant connection to dragons. They are renowned for their subterranean pack instincts, clever trap making, and resourceful survival tactics in hostile environments. They are also pretty spongy. So where are we going with this one? I think it's the solo artist who's doing this one. Or it might be the Hoarder. No, we're going to go Hoarder. Yeah, we're going to go Hoarder with this one. This is what somebody chooses to specifically piss one off. Anyway, yeah, the Hoarder. The Hoarder's taking that. No. Loxodon. Loxodon. Anyway, massive human elephant head humanoids defined by immovable adherence to principle, near perfect memories, and calm philosophical nature. Sounds like kind of a Buddhist monk to me. I don't know. Yeah. This sounds like a very calm person. This is a person who is using it for a specific need. So I'm going to go also with the Hoarder. The person who is using this specifically. No, I'm going min-maxer. The person who uses this is using it for something very, very specific. Because why do you need a memory like that? Like, what good does that do in a battle? Anyway, we're going to go min-maxer. This is a person who's using that specifically for some reason. Now, the next one is another one that we kind of know from pop culture, from regular TV, etc. And Greek, of course, Greek history, but that is the Minotaur. It's a bull-headed humanoid that navigate a complex existence between mortality and monstrosity. They often struggle against the world that projects preconceived notions of violence and curses onto them before they can define themselves. Oh my gosh, this is a person who maybe they just want to be loved. So, yes, I would say Just hearing that made me think of tragic backstory writer, murder hobo kind of thing. But I have a feeling that it's more of a lore goblin that would play these. Or even a hoarder, a person who is looking for something specific, a species. Yeah, we're gonna go again, Lore Goblin, Hoarder for this one. Yeah, we're gonna go with that one. All right, next. Something very similar, and again, reminds me of Hercules as a kid, but that's Satyrs, or Satyrs. Fey humanoids with goat-like features native to the wild and enchanted realms. Oh, this is also from Narnia. Driven by deep love and freedom of music, they embrace life's pleasures with unbridled, gregarious energy. All right, so Satyrs, I will say this would be someone that could use that would be a bard, but I also think they're going to go, I think actually this is the person who really, yeah, they're probably a solo artist where they want to be known for something. It could be also a rules lawyer. To me, that sounds very specific. Oh, kind of like a hoarder. I'm going to go with my initial gut here and say solo artist, main character. Yeah, they want to be kind of known for something, and that's why they chose that character. So, yeah, main character energy for this one. All right, next one. Tabaxi. Sounds like tobacco and a taxi together. Tabaxi. They are sleek, bipedal, feline humanoids from distinct tropical regions. Motivated by overwhelming, almost compulsive curiosity, they prioritize collecting stories, unique experience, and historical artifacts over material wealth. So this is exactly what Donut in Dungeon Crawler Carl would hate. This is what the crazy Cuban lady was. Anyway, Tabaxi. Again, you're going hoarder. You are a specific reason. Or main character. I think you're going main character energy for this one, but it is a cat. It is a cat. I'm a cat person, so Donut is going to maybe hate me. Ooh, I think the person who would play this might be the button pusher, because they'll push everyone's buttons at the table, but they might also be the method actor. Might also be the newbie. Okay, if I'm going just based on the fact that it is a cat and the fact that you're choosing this for a very specific reason, and would I play it? Probably. So I'm going button pusher for this one. Yeah, you're pushing other people's buttons by choosing this one. I would play it because it is a cat. You might play it because you want to be a cat. I don't know. Anyway, it's going up in the button pusher category because whether you're doing this because you like cats or you want to be a cat, I think you're pushing other people's buttons, period. Now, the next one I do also know from BG3, and that is a tiefling. They are humans carrying an infernal taint within their bloodline, resulting in distinct physical traits such as horns, tails, solid-colored eyes, and unconventional skin tones. This legacy can skip generations entirely, manifesting unpredictably from ordinary human parents. So a tiefling, again, I think you are the person who wants to feel a little special. Karlach is a tiefling. I like playing Karlach. She is a barbarian. There's also a lot of bards who are tieflings. So I think if you're choosing a tiefling, you kind of have that main character energy. Min-max solo artist kind of personality. I think you want to stand out. You want to look special out there. So I think you're a main character kind of person that's choosing that species specifically because of what the aesthetic looks like. Now, second from the last, that is the Triton. And this is a noble, amphibious ocean dweller who spent millennia guarding deep-sea trenches against elemental horrors. They view themselves as unlocked protectors of the surface world and are frequently perplexed by the lack of gratitude from land dwellers. So, of course, I thought mermaid right away with this one, but I also think of naiads in this category as well, which I think is another type of species, but regardless. Triton, I think if you're going this, again, you are looking to specifically let's hope that you are playing a water-based kind of session, RPG, etc. Because if you're choosing a Triton and you're going dungeon dwelling where there's no water to be found, yeah, I think you've chose the wrong one. So with this one, I think you're a rules lawyer who chooses this one. I think you're the type of person who really wants to just play this character so badly, you're willing to play it anytime, anywhere, no matter what the situation is. Now, unless you are playing it when you're playing a water-based RPG, I'll forgive you then. Then I will say maybe you are the kind of hoarder, etc. Maybe you're the veteran in that case. But right now, I really do think that you are a solo artist if you are choosing a Triton and playing it in a landlocked session. So yeah, solo artist or rules lawyer. Ooh, no, you're a solo artist. Solo artist it is. Now, the last one is Warforged. So you're a sentient living machines composed of wood, stone, and metal, originally manufactured from an industrial scale war. Following the war's conclusion, they were legally emancipated, making them a unique population entirely comprised of freed individuals. So Warforged was very difficult for me to come up with as an icon, so I did go with kind of a rock monster because I saw the wood, stone, metal kind of thing. But at the same time, I completely picture an artificer creating the Warforged. So what would I say Warforged is? And I'm going to go with a min-maxer for this one because I think if you are choosing this species to play, you are choosing it for the specific reason of the fact that it is machine or a sentient machine of some sort. So yeah, stand by it, min-maxer. That's exactly who you are. Now, I'm probably going to piss some people off, but I sat here and thought about this way too much, and I'm going to move the Tabaxi up to the method actor newbie stage, because had I first known that this species was here, I would have chosen it as the newbie, as the new person. Also being the person who likes to create voices and would love to be able to kind of play out this character. I think it would be hilarious to do. Sorry, Donut, I know you don't like, half human, half cat type of species, but I think it would just be fun. So yeah, what do you think of my list now? Do you agree with my list? Do you think that I misjudged something? Do you think that I perhaps didn't interpret something correctly? Did something trigger you so badly that you want to comment in the comments? I hope you do, because I love reading them, especially if they are ones that make me laugh. I love listening to or reading other people's experiences. Me as a newbie, yes, many of you are loving the fact that I'm sharing my newbie experience out there, but I will say I absolutely love reading the stories of, veterans and veteran DMs and the things that you allow at your table. And believe it or not, yes, I know I talked about it earlier, but the rules lawyers out there, I still get a lot from you. I learn a lot from you. So I want you to understand, I appreciate you sharing information. And I know that there's others out there because I see all the likes on your comments as well. So just understand, I do appreciate you. And I don't want that to sound like I'm a terrible person, but it's just based on me. I'm not that person. That's all this list is about. Now, that being said, I know this was a longer video and I thank you very much for being here. I know what it takes to watch a video of this length all the way through, and if you have, I want to say thank you. I want to say how much I appreciate you being here, and I absolutely love the community that is being built around this channel, around everything that I'm putting out here. So thank you for being you. Thank you for staying here. Thank you if you take the time to comment. Thank you if you take the time to subscribe. And I am sure YouTube just right about now is introducing another video. I hope you do click it because that does help the algorithm out. And I hope to see you in future videos as well. So thank you. Thank you for being here.